What are cryptocurrencies?
Hey, hey, hey.
What are NFTs?
A non-fungible token.
Time to buy Bitcoin.
Bitcoin just seems like a scam.
What's up, Bitcoin?
Hello everyone, welcome to On The Ledger. This is your host Mo El Sayed and I'm back once again on your weekly rendezvous from Paris. We're still at Ledger Open and by now you should probably know what it is, but if you don't, well, let me tell you. Ledger Open is a Web3 event happening at La Gaîté Lyrique, right at the heart of Paris, with hundreds of speakers and attendees coming from all over the globe. And the good news is, we're taking you with us on this journey to meet some of the most inspiring guests and discuss the future of user experience in the world of crypto, DeFi, and of course, NFTs. Today, I'm excited to welcome Pierre Duperrin, Senior Software Engineer at Sorare. For those of you who love football like me, Sorare is a dream come true. It's the play-to-earn version of fantasy football, where you can collect and trade your favorite players as NFTs to build your squad, earn rewards, and access exclusive in real-life perks. It's also backed by prominent football stars like Griezmann, Piqué, or Andre Schürrle, and hundreds of world-class clubs. Well, Pierre, welcome to On The Ledger. How's your Ledger Open going?
Thank you, Mo. I'm happy to be there. I've enjoyed meeting people as well in the ecosystem. I think the talks are great quality, so very nice so far.
Yeah, super thrilled to chat with you. It's a topic that I really like, Sorare, fantasy football, soccer and NFTs. So let's get right into it. Are you ready?
Yeah, I am.
On The Ledger, Season 2, Episode 12, from Ledger Open with Sorare. Here we go. So let's start from the beginning. How would you explain Sorare to those uninitiated, while taking into consideration the fact that they might not know what fantasy football is all about?
Okay, good question. Given we want to be mainstream, I guess this is an important question, actually.
Yes.
So if I had to try and explain it, how Sorare works, basically is you have a deck of cards. So all those cards represent football players, right? Mm-hmm. With that deck of cards, you can play in a game. So you have to line up players that you think will perform in the next real-life games, which is more or less called fantasy. Mm-hmm. And based on their real-life results, you will get points and you will be ranked in a leaderboard, and you can earn new cards and some ETH as well. So that's like the game aspect. We believe utility is key to mainstream adoption of NFTs. And the thing is, those cards are NFTs, right? So what is, I think, very interesting and you don't have in other fantasy games is that you have a real market, which are the card market. So every decision you make has to be an informed decision. You have skin in the game, basically, which makes it very interesting to manage your club, monitor your players who are injured, long time, short time. Some might not be, the coach might not like some players. When a new coach arrives, maybe they are not going to play anymore. Mm-hmm. So all of that is something that you need to...
There are different variables that you have to take into account. So you have the real-life football performance variables, but you have the internal market dynamics that are related to the game itself, as well as your own investment strategy, which is a lot of variables, and it was very interesting. And this whole concept of play to earn actually is the new buzzword in town, and you're a concrete example of its success. And this year has seen major play to earn projects see the light and get a lot of adoptions, millions of users and billions of dollars generated. What's that trend all about, and how do you see it evolving? This year is obviously a bull run, but, I think that the gaming aspect is an on-ramp that is probably not as reliant on the market, on the overall market. So do you see this this whole play-to-earn thing to continue evolving?
Yeah, I mean, to go back to what you just said is like you have many variables to take into account, and one of them is the game. Mm-hmm. So we can structure the game in a way that, for instance, you can use Japanese players playing in Japanese league, which are not necessarily very known, but to win known players. So we can have people take interest in those leagues. And like to come back to your actual question, play to earn. So our main objective is not play to earn, is more, I would say, play and earn. So first have fun, that's the main objective. We want the game to be fun. That's the first thing. But at the same time, there's this earn aspect, as you mentioned. Some people, are like hardcore football fans. They spend a lot of time tracking what I just mentioned, injuries, informed players, all of that. And for them is also a way, to make some money out of that passion. Some Sorare players are actually almost professional, in the sense that that's most of their time is focused on Sorare. So yeah, there is that earn aspect, which is important. I think it also brings some depth into the game, into the strategies, into the market. So in terms of a general trend, I think that is NFT is unlocking that play to earn. You could argue you could do a FIFA foot play to earn, but in the end you don't own your cards. They reset at every season end. So NFT enables that, and the fact that you can also win ETH itself. So this is part of the whole mechanics of the game.
That's super interesting. And I personally, the amount of time and money I spent on FIFA Foot and EA Sports Fantasy Football, and I never won anything out of it. When you think about the fact that you could do that and make a living, it is revolutionary. And aside from we were mentioning about the fact that play to earn in general is something. So the earn aspect is super important. But you also have the entertainment value. And in the beginning, you mentioned utility as something being very important as well. So what's utility like? And, basically owning these NFTs probably gives you other perks outside of the game. How are you thinking about that? And how is it looking as an important pillar of the overall game's dynamics itself?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, utility and the game is our driver, and it will bring a lot of things, we believe. One of them is collectibility. Some football fans, they are really proud of being fan of a club, of owning, signed shirts and things like that. Today, you can have cards and see when someone acquired the card, he got the full team of, like that year when that team won the league, Champions League, or things like that. We also have some players that come to us, and we issue special player edition cards. So there's only a few, right? And they are only issued directly to the player, which has been verified by us. And then they can trade that card. So you can also own a card that has been owned by a real football player. You can trade with them. We can see sometimes, people saying, "Oh, I've sold this card to Messi. It's really funny." And so there's this kind of connection with football. And as well, what we're trying to do is to strengthen that connection with with real football. Some NFTs. So at some point we've made a special edition NFTs, which would basically the card that you could win in the game, and that would open for VIP tickets for El Clásico in Spain between Real Madrid and Barcelona. We're also, getting jerseys and stuff like that. So we're trying to really strengthen that, real world, virtual world thing.
Yeah, that proof of ownership aspect is actually revolutionary, because you can easily link the in-game ownership of these cards to, in real world accessibility based on the ownership of these cards, of course. And it's impossible to talk about Sorare without mentioning the impressive Series B round of $680 million, led by SoftBank's Vision Fund. So first of all, congratulations. This is awesome. Maybe the first question that comes to mind is, how will you guys be leveraging that? Because that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. First, we were very happy that we managed to, close that round. We have big plans. Our business also is about licensing. So licensing has a cost, obviously, and some of that money is for us to also unlock the best leagues in the world. So this is one part of it. We need to grow the team like a lot. We want to be.
How many are you right now?
So at the moment, I think it changes quite a lot in the past few weeks, but I would say around 40, something like that. We just opened an office in New York City 2 weeks ago. So we will grow the team, look for expanding the Sorare brand as well. So we're on football today. We will be looking into other sports. It's part of our business plan. And yeah, so mainly I would say is those two directions. Our long-term vision is as well to be kind of a connected media with the football and the NFT all around that ownership backbone. That's our long-term roadmap. So yeah, I mean a lot to do.
A lot that we're looking forward to indeed. With projects like NBA Top Shot and of course Sorare, it's starting to look like sports, gaming, and culture in general will be kind of the main crypto on-ramp. How are you onboarding new users, taking into consideration that crypto is intimidating? You have a lot of frictions from a user experience standpoint. You've got crypto education, self-custody, or custody in a more general sense, gas fees. So how are you approaching that?
So that's actually, I think it's the biggest challenge for us is to make crypto easy, seamless, UX friendly, all of that. It's a big challenge at various levels of what we do. So as you mentioned, wallets, self-custodial, private keys, people don't know about that. So we need to have a product that is designed in a way that people do not feel the UX friction of crypto, but they get the positives of owning NFTs, free trade, etc. So we have to find that right balance between like a pure, a very seamless UX, but still, offer those show to the mainstream user what benefits they have from having those NFTs. So I mentioned the wallet, you mentioned the gas fees, so that's also a very good example. So from the beginning, we've always sponsored gas fees on Sorare. So our users never paid gas fees, except for deposits. So they don't know gas fees. But that means that the burden was on us.
A huge burden.
A huge burden. And this is why we moved to a layer 2 7 months ago, which allows us to reduce the burden on us and but keep that UX for the user. So it's very important. And I think in general, we carry the burden of the crypto, and so this is true for gas fees, for settlements also. So this is something that was a bit more difficult to do, but we work in an optimistic way, in a sense that when you buy a card, you can use it even if it's not been settled yet. So we kind of decorrelate the actual game from the pure settlement things. So this is something also we do, and I think an important thing also is how do you buy cards? Where do you get ETH? So you can either deposit from an external wallet, which is for more advanced users, but you can use also, we have on-ramp directly on our rollup. So you can actually buy ETH with your credit card in a few minutes and with no cost as well. There's a bit of a fee from the on-ramp provider, but no gas fees. And third but not least is you can directly buy with a credit card. So you can go on our platform and just buy an NFT with a credit card.
So it's kind of like a Web 2 experience with the Web 3 benefits.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what we're trying to achieve.
All right. And speaking of Web 2 and Web 3, it seems like, the Web 2 centralized network will be disrupted by Web 3 decentralized economies. Because the way you've been explaining, Sora, it's not only a game anymore, it's an economy. And Could you maybe speak a little bit more to that, and how are we thinking about the fact that, the games are not going to be games anymore, and it's not going to be, led by a centralized entity that, basically is the sole and only actor that is benefiting from all the activity that's happening in the ecosystem, to something that's decentralized and which is basically an economy with different dynamics.
Yeah, so I think having economics play an important role in your product is actually a benefit. For instance, the fact that people can trade their cars, they own their asset, they can freely transfer, it makes us build the game and the platform in a certain way. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes you want to avoid fraud, like people having multiple accounts. So you have to manage all of this. But it shapes the product in a certain way. So free transfer is like maybe the main thing, right? We know any user can trade any car they own at any time at the price they want. So this forces us to build the game accordingly. Now we still have some way of balancing the economy because we are minting the cards. So we kind of control the supply, even though when you buy a Sorare NFT, we have different scarcity categories, and we would say that Messi 2021 card, there will only be 100 this season. And this is enforced at the contract level, and we cannot change this. But then we have a game, and we have a market, and you can get cards as a reward in the game. So we have that ability to balance how many cards we sell, how many cards we reward, and then it's as you say, it's a real economy, and we are also like hiring people that are expert in economies, and it's a super interesting subject. It's complex subject, but yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, indeed. And you have a strong background in finance, working with equity derivatives and structured risk management. What's the link between that and what you do at Sorare?
Yeah, so it's funny because so I've been in the banking industry for a while before being more into the tech space and blockchain in particular, and I can see like lots of things from traditional finance that are redeveloped in a Web3 way. When you look at, for instance, DAI, it's just a notion of collateral and haircut and all of that. So it's very similar to what you can do in traditional finance, loans, etc. So I was more like of a technical side, so exotic products, derivatives. I don't think we reached that level of complexity yet, but we will get there. I think I really see a future where NFTs will be fractionalized, which is a technical term basically meaning that several people can own the same NFT. You can put that NFT in a DAO, and the DAO can become a football club.
We're already starting to see that with what we call the blue chips NFTs.
Yeah, exactly. So some of the NFTs are super expensive. They open a lot of interesting things as well, and I can see people wanting to be part of that premium experience, but being able only to own a fraction of it. So, and this in the financial industry has been known for years, like tranching and things like that.
So it's time to move on to the last segment of the show. This is Glimpse into the Future. So as I was saying at the beginning about play to earn being such a huge trend in 2021, and a lot of big projects generating billions in revenue, I think the common thread between these projects is that they had their own token. So the straightforward question is, when Sorare token?
Good question. I don't think there's any plans.
Okay.
I wouldn't know. I mean, so far,
because there's a lot of financial upside, but then there are a lot of legal drawbacks as well with how the space is going to evolve. I think you need to be like, everyone's thinking about that as well.
Yeah. So I mean, we don't have a token. It's not planned. I don't think it is. I might be wrong. I don't know. But we issue tokens every day, right? So people that have bought into Sorare NFTs early on, they've they are part of the success of Sorare as well. So it's an indirect way if you want to, support the project, and if you believe in the project, invest in the project as well.
Of course. And talking about the future, the future will probably surely be a cross-chain future. Do you have any other plans to bridge to other chains?
So I'd love to bridge to every chain. I think bridging is one of a key thing that the crypto community needs to tackle.
Yes.
Some projects like Cosmos are built for cross-chain communication. I think it's easier for fungible tokens. For NFTs, it's a bit more difficult.
Why?
Because of unicity and non-fungibility. Like, okay, what guarantees you if I issue a token on that chain that I'm not going to issue it on another chain? So I think it's a bit more difficult. We can see it as well with withdrawals. So you can see, for instance, on optimistic rollups, you can have liquidity providers doing instant withdrawal for fungible tokens. You cannot do that for NFTs. So it's difficult. I think there will be solution. I really believe that ZK proofs is super powerful. But you need a way to share estates between those blockchains. So I don't know how to solve this. I think experts are working on that. And I do agree the future is a multi-chain future, and it will be important.
It's very interesting to be thinking about that. And, we're still speaking about the future and, your vision for Sorare, whether it be, the corporate vision or your own personal vision, 5 years from now, where do you see Sorare?
So I'd like that we onboard lots of users, of people that don't know crypto. We'd like to be part of the companies that brought crypto to people, or that brought people to crypto, depending on how you see it. So this is really what when the company was started, it was like, okay, let's bring mainstream people to crypto. How we do that? Let's take football and NFTs, and it's a good thing. So more people. I think I like to have a game that is better, improved, global. It's very interesting to see, we have people all over the world playing the game, there's a way that, NFTs can connect peoples across countries and build global fan bases. I think it's a new way of watching and, enjoying sports.
Which other sports are you thinking about? Because you mentioned that in the beginning.
I can't really mention any specifics, but we are looking at other sports. I mean, it's part of what we want to do.
Because football is very European, so if you want to be tapping into other markets, that's other things.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
about.
part of the thinking process. Football is still strong in South America and parts of Asia and Africa, and so I'd say it's the most global sports
for sure
in the world. But yeah, as you said, I mean, we want to reach a broader audience, and this is part of the plans. Yes.
And in a more general sense, when you think about the future, what excites you the most?
For Sorare or in general?
In general, for the space.
So I think that crypto is going to change the way people interact. Today, I think the world is driven by nations who have their own, priorities, and they defend themselves. And crypto is supranational. You don't have those boundaries. So I think, I'd like to think, that is going to change the way people interact across the globe. So I'd say, yeah, I guess this is what I'm looking forward to.
Well, that would be the perfect way to end it. Thanks a lot, Pierre. It was a pleasure chatting with you. And I hope we can have you once again on the podcast to talk about Sorare and what you guys do in the future. Best of luck.
Thank you, Mo. It was a very good time.
That's it. This was On The Ledger, live from Ledger Open with Pierre Duperrin from Sorare. If you've enjoyed the conversation, hit that subscribe button and keep an eye out. This was On the Ledger from Paris with your host Moel Sayed. Till next time, take care. Au revoir. This content is provided for informational purposes only and is the sole expression of our opinion and should not be relied upon as legal, business, investment, or tax advice. Do your own research. Any loss or profit is your sole responsibility. Stay safe.